Welcome to the reading of the Sabbath School lesson for the second quarter of 2022. Welcome to lesson number 5 in the series on Genesis. It's titled All Nations and Babel, and it's ready for teaching on April 30, and I'm Percy Harrold. Sunday, April 24, the Curse of Ham. Read Genesis chapter 9, verses 18 to 27. What is the message of this strange story? Now the sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and from these the whole earth was populated. And Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. Then he drank of the wine and was drunk, and became uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and went backwards, and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. So Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his younger son had done to him. Then he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants he shall be to his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. Noah's act in his vineyard echoes Adam's in the Garden of Eden. The two stories contain common motifs: eating of the fruit resulting in nakedness, then a covering, a curse, and a blessing. Noah reconnects with his Adamic roots and, unfortunately, continues that failed history. The fermentation of fruit was not a part of God's original creation. Noah indulged, then lost self-control and uncovered himself. The fact that Ham saw his nakedness hints at Eve, who also saw the forbidden tree in Genesis 3, verse 6. This parallel suggests that Ham did not just see furtively by accident his father's nakedness. He went around and talked about it, without even trying to take care of his father's problem. In contrast, his brother's immediate reaction to cover their father, while Ham left him naked, implicitly denounced Ham's actions. The issue at stake here is more about the respect of one's parents. Failure to honour your parents, who represent your past, will affect your future, as we read in Exodus 20, verse 12. Honour your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you. And we'll compare that with Ephesians 6, verse 2. Honour your father and mother, which is the first commandment, with promise. Hence the curse, which will influence Ham's future and that of his son Canaan. Of course, it is a gross theological mistake and an ethical crime to use this text to justify racist theories against anyone. The prophecy is restricted to Canaan, Ham's son. The biblical author has in mind some of the corrupt practices of the Canaanites, as recorded in Genesis 19, verses 5 to 7. And they called to Lot and said to him, Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them carnally. So Lot went out to them through the doorway, shut the door behind him, and said, Please, my brethren, do not do so wickedly. And Genesis 19, verses 31 to 35. Now the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is no man on the earth to come in to us, as is the custom of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve the lineage of our father. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he did not know when she lay down and when she arose. It happened on the next day that the firstborn said to the younger, Indeed, I lay with my father last night. Let us make him drink wine tonight also, and you go in and lie with him, that we may preserve the lineage of our father. Then they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. In addition, the curse contains a promise of blessing, playing on the name Canaan, which is derived from the verb 𝐃𝐎, K-A-N-A, meaning subdue. It is through the subduing of Canaan that God's people, the descendants of Shem, will enter the promised land and prepare the way for the coming of the Messiah, who will enlarge Japheth in the tents of Shem, as it says in Genesis 9:27. This is a prophetic allusion to the expansion of God's covenant to all nations, which will embrace Israel's message of salvation to the world, as we read in the following texts. Daniel 9:27, then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week he shall bring an end to sacrifice and suffering, and on the wing of abomination shall be one who makes desolate, even until the consummation which is determined is poured out on the desolate. And Isaiah 66, verses 18 to 20, for I know their works and their thoughts. It shall be that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come to see my glory. I will set a sign among them, and those among them who escape I will send to the nations, to Tarshish and Pul and Lud, who draw the bow, and Tubal and Javan, to the coastlands afar off, who have not heard my fame, nor seen my glory. And they shall declare my glory among the Gentiles. Then they shall bring all your brethren for an offering to the Lord out of all nations, on horses and in chariots and in litters, on mules and on camels, to my holy mountain Jerusalem, says the Lord, as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of the Lord. And Romans chapter 11, verse 25. For I do not desire, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own opinion, that blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles has come in. The curse of Ham will, in fact, be a blessing for all nations, including whichever descendants of Ham and Canaan accept the salvation offered them by the Lord. And so to finish today, Noah, the hero of the flood, drunk? What should this tell us about how flawed we all are, and why we need God's grace every moment of our lives? This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind, and It Is Written. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. Remember, God is always faithful.